Hey everyone, I'm Marcus Ng. Welcome back to Apps from Scratch. Today, we're going to be building out the UI of this travel app I found on Drupal. This UI has a lot of stacks and position manipulation that I think many of you will find interesting to learn and build. Before we get started, I want to let you all know that I have a Udemy course called How to Build a Local Storage App using Flutter and SQLite. Throughout the course, you will learn how to build a to-do list app that saves data locally on your users' devices. I'll link a coupon code to the course in the description, and I'd appreciate it if you'd check it out. Okay, let's get started. First things first, let's walk through the current state of our project. We can see that inside our main.dart file, we set the title to Flutter Travel UI, we removed the debug banner, and we also added a theme data, where we set the primary color, accent color, and scaffold background color. The primary color is this teal color, and the accent color is the lighter background behind it. The scaffold background color is the light gray color, which is the background of our application. Let's look at our pubspec.yaml file. Here we imported the package FontAwesomeFlutter, and that allows us to use a bunch of new icons within our app. We also imported our assets images by importing the assets directory and then the images directory. And these are all images I got online. Now if we go to our destination model, we can see that we have a destination class, which consists of a string image URL, city, country, description, and a list of activities. Activities are what show up here in the second screen once we click on a place. Activities consist of an image URL, have a name, a type, a list of start times, a rating, and a price. And throughout the app, we're going to be using the three same activities for each destination to save time. But if you were to build this app out, you can just make the activities the corresponding activities for each destination. Let's go back to our destination model, and we can see the activities we were just talking about. And then below that, we have our list of destinations, which are the top destinations in this list view builder. And then inside our hotel model, we have the name, address, and price, and we have 3 hotels that will show up in the exclusive hotels list view builder. Going back to main.dart, our home screen is connected to our home screen stateful widget, which is where we'll begin coding the app. Taking a look at our travel UI, we can see that we have a text widget here, and it has padding to the left of it, a lot of padding on the right side, and vertical padding. Now we can implement this by going into our scaffold, adding a body. Let's use a safe area to apply automatic padding around our widgets inside our scaffold. We're going to make a list view because we expect this whole screen here to be scrollable, since we're going to be able to scroll to see top destinations and then scroll down more to see exclusive hotels. Inside our list view widget, we're going to make a text widget with the text, "What would you like to find?" Hit save, and we see that the text renders up here. We can style the text by adding a text style. The font size will be 30.0, and the font weight will be bold. Next, we can add some padding to our text by going to our text, hitting Command period, and then selecting Add Padding. We're going to change our edgeinsets.all to edgeinsets.only, and we're going to add left padding 20.0 and right padding 120.0. And then to add vertical padding to our list view, all we have to do is add padding, edgeinsets.symmetric, vertical 30.0. Let's take another look at our UI. We need to add 4 buttons that the user can select. Now when I originally tried to code this, I used a tab bar at first, but the problem with the tab bar is that it has a set height. So when I tried to make the buttons rounded, they ended up looking like rounded rectangles. And the other problem was that the tab bar has ink widgets, so whenever you click to select, the whole entire widget would fill with the ink of you pressing down on the button, when in actuality, we only want the circle to have the ink effect. So the way I got around this was by creating a row widget, and then I populated the row widget with clickable icons. First, let's create these icons. Let's make a list at the top of our home screen state. And that's going to be of type icon data. And we'll call that icons. The first icon is going to be a font awesome icon dot plain. The second one is going to be a bed. And then the third one, it looks like a person parachuting, but since we don't have that kind of icon, we can just put somebody walking instead. And for the fourth icon, we can use a bike. Now let's write a function called buildIcon. And that's going to take an int index and going to return a widget. So let's return a container. And this container is going to be the outside circular area of our icon button. We'll set the height to 60.0 and the width will be 60.0. And then we need to set decoration. So box decoration. The color, for now, we'll just make it theme.ofContext.accent color. And that's going to be the light blue color here. And then for border radius, because we want it to be a perfect circle, we need to half the height or width here, and that would be 30 in this case. Now let's add a child to it, an icon, and we're going to use icons index because we're passing in the index and we can access each icon we want. The size of the icon will be 25.0, and the color for now we can set to theme.ofContext.primaryColor. Let's hit save, and then going down here underneath our padding, let's add a size box with a height of 20.0 to add some spacing. And then let's first just build an icon to see what it looks like. So we'll do build icon 0 and hit save. And we can see that it stretches across the whole screen. And the way to fix this is by hitting command period, wrapping it in a row widget, hit save, and then now it tightens up. So one way we can do this is by doing build icon a bunch of times like this, and then saying 1, 2, 3, and then hitting save, and then we would get all of our icons. But this isn't really that efficient because in the future, if we ever added more icons, we wouldn't be able to see them. So still, we'd only have the 4 icons here because we hard-coded the indices. So instead of having a build icon for each one of these, we can actually convert our list of icons to a map. So icons.asMap, and then do .entries. And entries is an iterable of a map entry, and it has the index, which is the int, and then the icon data. So now we do .map, and then we get a map entry, map, and then we want to return the function buildIcon, map.key, and map.key is the index. And lastly, we just want to do .toList to convert it back to a list, because rowChildren is a list of widgets. Now if we hit save, we can see that all of our icons appeared. Now let's deal with the spacing between our icons. We can use main axis alignment, main axis alignment.spaceAround, and that's going to add even space between the icons, and half the space for leading, and half the space for trailing. So now they're nicely spaced out. And then we want to make the icon selectable, because in the picture, we have one icon that's selected, and then all the other icons are deselected. At the top of our home screen state, we're going to add a state variable called int, and we'll just call it selected index, and we'll set that equal to 0. Let's hot restart the app. And now inside our build icon, we're going to wrap our container in a gesture detector. And on tap, we want to set state. So set state selected index, and we'll just set that equal to index. And now if we hit save, and then when we click, well, let's actually print out the index here so we can see it. Now if we click here, we see 0, 1, 2, 3. And now we have to work on changing the color. So for our background color, we need to check if selected index is equal to index, double equals. And if it is, then we want to show the accent color. Otherwise, we want to use a light gray color. So we're going to use a hex code for this. And that's E7EBEE. If we hit save, we see that these three icons, the background changed to the deselected color. And then now to change the icon color, so same thing. Selected index is equal to index. Then we want the primary color. Otherwise, we want to use color 0xFF B4C1C4. And now that's the same color as these icons. And we can select. So if you wanted to fully implement this icon row, then you can add the logic to change the list view builders here. So if you clicked on like the bed, for example, maybe it would show you hotels. And then if you clicked on the walking person, it would show you activities. And then if you clicked on the biker, then maybe it would show you different transportation methods. But we're not going to implement that for the sake of just creating this UI. Now our icon selector is done. Let's start working on our destination carousel. We can see that the destination carousel is made up of a column widget that contains a row. And inside the row, we have two text widgets, where one of them is a button. And then the second part of the column, that's a container widget, which includes a list view builder inside. So let's start by building out the row widget here. Down here, let's make a column widget first. And that's going to have children. Inside the children, we're going to have a row widget. And that's going to contain text, top destinations, and text, see all. And we can style the text. So for top destinations, let's make the font size 22. The font weight can be font weight.bold. And I also noticed that there's some letter spacing on this text, so we can add letter spacing 1.5. And that looks pretty good. Now for see all, we can do the same thing, so style, text style, color, this time it's going to be theme.ofcontext.primary color. Our font size will be 16. Font weight, we're going to make it semi-bold, so that's font weight.w600. And then the letter spacing will be 1.0. Now to add space between these two widgets, all we have to do is go into our row, add main axis alignment dot space between, and that's going to push them apart. Now we can add some padding to it to get away from these sides. And we'll do edge insets dot symmetric horizontal 20.0. And then to add spacing between our selector and our destination carousel, we can just add a sized box between them with a height of 20.0. And now before we go any further, let's remove our column widget by cutting it out. And we're going to make the widget called destination carousel. And inside our lib folder, let's make a new directory called widgets with a new file called destination_carousel.dart. And that's going to be a stateless widget, destination carousel. and make sure to implement material. And then I'm just going to paste in the stuff we just cut out. And then remove the comma here. Hit save, go back to home screen, make sure to import destination carousel. And if we hit save, the destination carousel stays. Going back to the destination carousel, we can add a gesture detector on see all. So on tap, we'll print see all. Hit save, and now when we click this text widget, it's going to print see all. And then that would be the button that would probably display all of the destinations to our user. Now the next part of this is to build out our list view builder. And our list view builder consists of a container widget first, because we need to create a fixed height for our list view builder. So let's do that now. Let's look at our column widget, and right under our padding here, we're going to create a new container with a height of 300. And so it's easier to see. Let's make the color colors.blue. Hit save, and this is where our list view builder is going to be. Now let's make a child, list view B. Item count, we're going to make that equal to destinations.length, and we get destinations from our destination model.dart. And if we return a text widget for now, so we can say destinations index.city, hit save, and it says that we're missing a static target, and we can fix that by just hot restarting the app. The destinations are in a vertical list view right now, and just like the UI, we want it to be a horizontal list view. So all we have to do is add a scroll direction, axis.horizontal, hit save, and we see that the names are now on the same line. The destination cell consists of a container with a specified width, and then the child of that container is going to be a stack, where the image up here is going to be on top of this container here, because we can see that the image is floating on top of the container. So let's start by building out the bottom container here, which has the activities. So let's make destination is equal to destinations index. And for now we can remove the text widget. And we'll return a container with a width of 210. And then we're going to have our stack widget, and then another container inside. So child, stack, children. We're going to make a container with a height of 120.0 and a width of 200.0. And so you guys can see these are, we'll add a color, so colors.white. And then we'll also add a color to our outer container, so colors.red. And then we need to add margins. So margin edge insets.all 10.0. And these are all of our destination cards. The next part of this is rounding our container widget on the inside. So we're going to add a decoration to this container. It's going to have box decoration with a border radius dot circular 10.0. And then make sure you bring the color inside the box decoration. Hit save, and now we have our rounded corners. And then inside of this container, we're going to have two text widgets. One is going to be the number of activities, and the other one is going to be the destination description. And we'll have child. It's going to be in a column widget. Children. Text. destination.activities.length, activities. And then the second one is just destination.description. Hit save, and now it appears. Now to left align them, we can go under a column widget here, access cross-axis alignment, cross-axis alignment.start, and it brings the text over to the left side. Now we can style our text. Style, text style. We'll make the font size 22.0. The font weight, we'll make that W600, so semi-bold. And then the letter spacing will be 1.2. Hit save. And then for the text style, for the description, we'll just change the color. So text style, color, colors.gray. And referring to the UI here, we can see that the column widget is stuck to the bottom. And we can achieve that by just adding main axis alignment here. Main axis alignment dot end. And that's going to bring it all the way to the bottom, because the top for the main axis alignment, which is vertical, that's the start up here, and the bottom is the end. So hit save, and it brings it down. And all I have to do is add padding now. So go to the column widget, add padding, edge insets, and we can do edge insets.all 10.0. And that's looking good. Next, let's focus on creating the image widget here with rounded corners. It also seems to have a shadow. And then this is also in a stack because we're putting text on top of the image. But first we'll just start by making the image. So let's go back up a bit. And we can see that we have our stack here. So after our container widget, we're going to want to add a container decoration with box decoration. The color, we'll make it white. And then border radius for the rounded corners. That'll be circular 20.0. And then box shadow. We need to put that in an array. Box shadow, the color will be colors.black 26. The offset will be offset 0.02.0. So the offset stays on the x-axis, and then it moves down by 2 on the y-axis. And then lastly, we just need the border radius, which we will set to 6.0. Now if we hit save and go back here, we can see that it expands all the way down. And we'll deal with that in a second once we set the height of the image. The box shadow here is being rounded by the border radius. And now we need to create the child. And that's going to be a stack with children. And we want to make an image with height 180.0 and a width of 180.0. And the image will be an image asset, destination.image URL, fit, boxfit.cover, and that'll expand it to the height and width. Hit save. And now we can see that the images are 180 by 180. And everything's aligned to the top left right now. So we can just quickly fix that by going up to the highest level stack, which is over here. And then accessing alignment, alignment.top center. Hit save, and then everything shifted to the center. And now to deal with the rounded corners on the image, we need to add something called a clip rrect widget. So let's wrap the image in clip rrect. And all I have to do is add border radius.circular 20.0. Hit save. And now we have our images with the light shadow behind it. And before we go any further, let's move the container behind the image down. And all we have to do is add a widget called positioned. And then we can access bottom. And this is the distance the container widget is going to be from the bottom of the stack. And we'll set it to 15.0. Hit save. And now it looks pretty good. And compared to this, we have the small edge right here that's showing, and the image looks like it's floating above the container. To finish off the image stack, let's add the text. So going back down to our stack that contains the image here, we're going to create a column widget. And that widget is going to have two text widgets. The first one being destination.city, and the second one is destination.country. And we can see that the image here overflowed, but it'll fix itself once we're done with the stack here. So let's style these widgets. Style, text style, color, colors.white, font size 24.0. The font weight will make it font weight.w600, and then the letter spacing will be 1.2. And now for the country, all we have to do is change the color. Color, colors.white. And then we have Italy right there. And looking back at this, we also need to add an icon right next to the country. So we can wrap this text widget here, and that's the destination country, with a row widget. And just put in an icon, font awesome icons, .location arrow, with a size of 10.0 and a color of white. And then we'll add a sized box with a width of 5.0 to add some spacing between them. Hit save, and now it's nicely spaced. And then to make everything left aligned, just like we did before, we access cross-axis alignment, cross-axis alignment.start. And then we have to deal with the positioning of the text widgets. Let's go to our column here, and then wrap it in a positioned widget. And we'll make it left 10.0, and then we'll make it bottom 10.0. And now compared to the UI here, it's looking pretty exact. The last thing we have to do here is just change the colors of our containers. So now we don't need to have blue anymore. We can remove that. And then we don't need the red showing here. Hit save. And we have our destination carousel. Taking another look at our UI, we can work on our exclusive hotel carousel. And since we don't know exactly what that looks like, we can just make it the same as top destinations and make some minor tweaks. So let's make a new widget called hotel carousel.dart. And that's going to be a stateless widget, just like our destination carousel. Hotel carousel, import material, save, and then let's just rip out the destination carousel here and copy it. So copy the column and paste that in right here. And for now, we just make sure to import all the different packages. And now if we go back to our home screen, let's add another size box, and then import hotel carousel. Hit save, and now we have the hotel carousel showing, and now we just have to tweak it. So first let's change the text up there. So instead of top destinations, we will call it exclusive hotels. And then to change these, we can go down to our container, which contains these stacks. For our image, we don't want to have the text here anymore. So let's just take out the positioned widget here. Now hit save, and the text is gone, and we can remove the stack widget. And then let's work on the activities here. Or before that, let's change the destination image URL to a hotel.image URL. And that requires us to change the list view builder's destination here. We're going to make it hotel equals hotels sub index. Hit save, and then make sure to import hotel. And in that case, we can remove the destination model, and we don't need the Font Awesome Flutter package anymore. Change this to hotels.length. What we want to put here instead of activities is the name of the hotel, then the address of the hotel, and then we put the price of the hotel. So let's remove this and put hotel name. The second one will be hotel.address. And then we'll add a sized box between them. 2.0. Hit save. And we're getting the unimplemented handling error, so we can just hot restart. And now the hotels show up. And then the last thing we need is another sized box here with a height of 2.0. And a text widget, which is the hotel price. So to put a $sign in, we have to escape it with a backslash. And then we can put hotel.price per night. And we'll style that text style font size of 18.0. And a font weight.w600, which is semi-bold. And that's looking pretty good. We can center the text instead by changing the cross-axis alignment .center, and hitting save. Or we can just get rid of this line entirely, because by default the cross-axis alignment of a column is centered. And to change up the look of this some more, we can make the width of our containers different. So instead of having a width of 210, let's change it to a width of 240. And we can see that the space expanded a bit. Now let's change our container here to 240. And then we can change the image width down here to 220. And that makes it easier to distinguish the hotels from the top destinations. And that's our hotel carousel. The last thing we have to do for our home screen is add a bottom navigation bar. So we need to add a bottom navigation bar with 3 items. A search icon, some kind of icon, which we're probably just going to make pizza because everybody likes pizza. And the last one is a circle avatar. So now if we go to home screen, underneath safe area, we can make a bottom navigation bar. Bottom navigation bar, and we're going to have a current index value, which means we need to make another variable called current tab. And then we're going to have items, where the items are going to be of type bottom navigation bar item. Bottom navigation bar item, the first one will be an icon. So icons dot search. I'll set the size to 30. And then let's add a current tab right now. So if we go to the top here, and then right underneath selected index, we'll add current tab, and that's going to let us keep track of which tab is selected. Hit save, and then we get this error because we need to have at least 2 items in the bottom navigation bar. So let's just copy paste this. And then we're going to get another error, which is about the bottom navigation bar item not having a title. So all bottom navigation bars must have a title, which means we can put an empty text widget here for both of these. Hit save, and then we see that we have icons, but they're pushed up a lot because we have an empty text widget. And the way to avoid this is by just adding a sized box dot shrink. So if we make this one shrink, we see that this search icon moved down, but this one is still a bit raised because the text widget is empty here. And in this case, we also want to add the size box.shrink, and that'll make it so the icons are not pushed up. Let's change this to local pizza. And now we need to have one more for the circle avatar. So let's copy this, paste, and all we have to do is change the icon, because our icon is a widget, which means it can take in a circle avatar. Make the radius 15.0. The background image, we'll have a network image, and I grabbed mine off of Google. Save, and then I have my image here. Now when I click on these, they don't change color, which means that we need to add a set state, because right now we're not changing the current tab value whenever we click a new tab. So on tap, we're going to want a set state because we want the widget tree to re-render whenever we tap. Current tab is equal to, and on tap gives us an integer value, which is the value of the index. And we'll set that to value, save, and now if I click, it changes. And if I click the last one, it doesn't change, but the other ones are unselected, so that's fine. And that's our bottom navigation bar. We're now ready to move on to the destination screen. So let's make a new file called destination screen in our screens directory. And that's going to be a stateful widget, destination screen. And it's going to take in a destination, and that's going to be final. We need to create a constructor, destination screen, this.destination. And then we need to import material, hit save. And then right here, let's just return a scaffold for now. So when we click on a destination here, we want it to go to this screen. And the way we can do that is by going into our destination carousel and adding a gesture detector on our container widget that we return. Gesture detector on tap, and we're going to do navigator dot push context, and the route's going to be material page route builder destination screen, and that takes in destination, and we can just send destination through. Let's hit save, and now when we click Venice, it segues to the new screen. So now on our destination screen, we want to add an image, and we also want to have a list view builder under that. We see that this image is a stack because we have text on top of our image. So let's start with that. We can make a body, and it's going to be a column because the top is the stack and the bottom is the list view. Column's going to have children. The first child will be a stack, children, and we'll make the container with a height, media query .of.size .width. So that's the width of the screen. And then we're going to make decoration, box decoration, border radius .circular 30.0. And then we need our box shadow, which will be in an array, colors.black 26, offset 0.0, 2.0, and the blur radius will be 6.0. And this is where the image is going to be. So we add a child, and we want our image. That's going to be image, asset, image, widget, dot destination, dot image URL. And widget dot destination is the destination that we pass through when we segue to the screen. Now if we hit save, the image appears, and in order to make it fill the whole height, we can do fit box fit dot cover. Hit save, and to get the rounded edges, we can add a clip or rect widget, border radius, and let's just copy this border radius right here. Save, and now we have the nice effect where we have the container with the shadow to make it look like the image is floating. The UI has a back button on the top and then 2 buttons here. So the way we're going to make that is by creating a row widget, and that row widget is going to have an icon button here, which is the back button, and then we're going to have another row widget here to contain the 2 other icon buttons. And then on the outer row widget, we're going to use space between to push them apart. We're in our stack. Underneath container, we can create a row widget. We're going to make an icon button, icon, icons dot back, arrow, hit save, and we see that the arrow appears up here. Let's change the size of the icon to 30.0, colors dot black, and then we need to add onPressed, which we'll just do navigator dot pop. Hit save. And to push the arrow down, we can add some padding to the row. Edge insets dot symmetric, horizontal 10.0, and vertical we'll make it 40.0. And now the arrow's down here. So if we click that arrow, it pops the screen away. And it works for all of our screens. Now let's add the other 2 icons. So we need to add a search icon and a filter or sort icon. And like we said before, we're going to want to make a row widget again. And that's going to have children. And the 2 children are also going to be icon buttons. So we can copy paste our existing one twice. Hit save. And then they appear right here. So we can make the first one icons.search. And the second one will be a font awesome icon dot sort amount down. And we'll make the font awesome 125.0 because it's a bit big. And now to push it away, to make the arrow on the left side and then make the other 2 icons pushed on the right side, all we have to do is add main axis alignment to our first row and put dot space between. And that's looking pretty accurate. Now let's add an animation to our app. So when we go back and then click into the destination, we should want the image to actually expand into the next screen. And the way we do this is by adding a hero widget. So let's go to our destination carousel. And let's wrap our image widget, so the clip R rect right here, with a hero. And we'll set the tag. And that's the identifier of our image widget. And that's how we know how to animate the widget to the next screen. And we'll set that to destination.imageURL because these are unique IDs. Let's hit save. And now on our destination screen, we're going to want to do the same thing for our image. So wrap the clip R rect with a new widget, hero, and then instead of using the destination.imageURL, we're going to use widget.destination.imageURL. Save that. And when I click out of this, we see that the photo minimized into our destination image. click it, it grows into our stack. And this works for all of these. And it's a really nice animation. On the simulator, it looks a bit slow, but when you run it in release, it works perfectly fine. Now, taking another look at the UI here, we have the city, the country, and then an icon here. So let's first start by creating this. And we can easily do that by just going back to our destination carousel and copying what we wrote before. So let's just take our column widget here. And then in our destination screen, we can go underneath our padding right here and add this in here. And then change the destinations to widget.destination. Let's hit save. And it shows up here. The way we can move it down is by wrapping it with a positioned widget. Positioned, and we'll do left 20.0 and then bottom 20.0. And then we can increase the font size. So for the destination city, we'll make it 35, and then our text on the bottom, we can make it 20.0. So let's add a font size property. And let's increase the size of our icon here. Now the only thing we're missing is the icon down here. And just like how we positioned the column here, all we have to do is make another positioned widget. So positioned, we're going to make it from the right 20.0, the bottom 20.0. The child will be an icon. Icons.location on. Color, colors.white. We'll make it colors.white 70. And the size will be 25.0. Hit save. And that's where the icon is. And I noticed that the country here is a little bit gray. So we can also make this white 70. White 70, and then the location arrow will also be white 70. And that looks a bit more accurate. For the next part of the screen, we want to create a list view. So we can see that we have a list view here where we put all the activities. So underneath our stack, we're going to make a list view builder. The item count will be widget.destination.activities.length. And then for now, we can just return text widget.destination.activities index.name. Let's hit save. And we'll get an error because we didn't specify a height for our list view builder. And we don't have a fixed height that we want the list view builder to be. So we can just make it expand to the rest of this screen by wrapping it in an expanded widget. Hit save, and then we see our activities. Now let's work on designing these tiles. We can see that each one of these activities is a stack because we have an image floating above the container widget here. So it's similar to what we did for our top destinations carousel, but it's different in the sense that the image is now on the side. Now let's return a stack instead of a text widget. Stack. And then we want to grab the activity. And that's just widget.destination.activities index. And import activity. Let's first work on building the container that's underneath the image. So our stack is going to have children, container. It's going to have margin, edge, insets, dot from left, top, right, bottom. From the left, we're going to make it 40.0 because it's farther away from the left than it is from the right. The top, we can set that to 5.0. The right will make it 20.0 because it's half the distance from the left. And the bottom will be 5.0. We'll make the height 170. The width will be double dot infinity, so it expands to the full size of the container. Decoration, box decoration, color will be colors.white, and then the border radius, that'll just be circular 20. Let's hit save on that, and we can see that the cards appeared. Now we want to make the text appear. So what text do we need to show? We need the name, the type, the rating, and then the start times. And then on this side, we need to have the price of the tour. So it looks like that this is a column widget. The top right here is a row. And then down here, we can write a custom function to actually create the number of stars based on the rating. And for this, we'll make our own containers to show the start times. Inside our container, we'll have a child widget, and we'll make a column. The first widget is going to be a row, because that's the name and the price. So we'll write text, activity.name, text, activity.price. And we can add the $sign. Hit save, and we have that appearing now. For the row, we can add main axis alignment dot space between to separate them, and the cross axis alignment will be cross axis alignment dot start. Now for the rest of these, we can add the other text widget, and that'll be text activity.type. The next one will be the rating. So we're going to write a function called build rating stars, and that'll take in the activity.rating. And we'll write that in just a second, so we'll comment it out for now. Underneath that, we're going to have a sized box with a height of 10.0. And then we're going to have a row widget that contains these two containers. So we'll create a row, children, container. We'll make the width 70.0. The decoration will be a box decoration with the color theme.of context.accent color, and that's the lighter blue color. The border radius will be circular 10.0. The child will be text activity.startTime, and we'll use index 0 for this one. For every single activity, I put 2 start times, so we're going to be indexing for 0 and 1. And now if we hit save, we can see that the start time showed up here. And we can center that by just adding alignment.center. And then again for the second one, let's copy paste that. And change the 0 to 1 here. And we want to add some space between it. So just like usual, we had a sized box with a width of 10.0. And hit save. And now since we have most of the text done, we can start styling it. So let's style the text for the name and the tour. Activity name will be style, font size 18.0. And we'll make the font weight semi-bold. So font weight.w600. And hit save. And now for the activity price, we're going to make that style, text style, font size 22.0, and the font weight will be fontweight.w600. Hit save. And I just realized that we're missing the per packs here. So we need to wrap the text of the activity price in a column widget. And then underneath that, we can just make another text widget, and we'll call it per packs. And we don't need font size because the default is 14.0. We can just change the color to colors.gray. And that's looking pretty good for the price. Now going down to our activity type, all we have to do is style text style, and we'll set the color to gray. To left align all the widgets, we can go to our column widget right here, cross-axis alignment dot start, and that's going to move everything to the left side. And then for the main axis alignment, we want it to be centered. So all we have to do is type in main axis alignment dot center, and that's going to center this vertically. So we hit save, it's shifted down. Now let's add some padding to our column widget. We'll make it edge insets dot from LTRB, and this time I'll make it 100.0 from the left, 20.0 from the top, the right will be 20.0, and the bottom will be 20.0. And hit save. And we see that we're getting some overflow error here, and the way we can fix that is by just wrapping our activity.name field in a container, and we can restrict how long we want the text to run on for. So let's just grab the text here, wrap it in a container widget, set the width to 120.0, hit save, and then I don't like how it wraps so much here, so I'm only going to restrict it to 2 lines, and the way I can do that is by just adding a max lines to the text and setting it to 2, and then this one right here was walking tour and gondola ride. Text overflow dot ellipsis, and then we see the dot 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 there. Now before we forget, let's add our rating stars. So uncomment this, and then we're going to write a new function now called build rating stars, and that's going to take an int rating, and we want this function to return a text widget. So string stars is equal to an empty string, and we're just going to make a for loop. So for int I is equal to 0, if I is less than rating, then we're going to increment I by 1, and then we're going to add stars plus equals, and then inside the quotes we're just going to add a star emoji. And now if we hit save, and then remember to return text stars, we now have our stars appearing. And I'd like it if my stars had space between them, so I'm just going to add 1 space right here. And then if you want to get rid of the extra white space, you can just do stars.trim, and that's going to trim off any leading or trailing white space. And hit save. And now all we have to do is add an image right here. Let's scroll back down. Now right after this container, which is this container widget, we're going to add the image URL. We're going to add the image. So clip our rect, border radius, because we want to clip the image to have rounded borders, circular 20.0, and the image will have a width of 110. Image asset image, activity.image URL. Hit save, and we see that the images are here now, but we want it to fit the width and cover the entire widget. So we just need to add fit box fit.cover. And then also add positioned around clipart rect, so then our image knows how much to expand. So let's wrap clipart rect in positioned. From the left we'll make it 20.0, from the top we'll make it 15.0, and then from the bottom we'll make it 15.0. Hit save. And now we have our images. Now the one last thing we can do is go to our list view builder here and add some padding, because right now I don't like how there's so much space between the image up here and our activities. So we can just throw padding into our list view builder, edge insets dot only, and we can set the top to 10.0. And now if we scroll down, we can also add padding to the bottom too. So we can make it bottom, we'll try 15.0 and hit save. And now if we scroll, we have some more padding on the bottom and we have a little bit of padding on top. And compared to the actual travel UI, this is looking pretty good. One thing we can add is some padding around our text widgets here to make the containers wider. So let's go down to our containers here, add padding, edge insets dot all 5.0, and that's looking much better. And this is spot on. And that's our destination page. So we can click any of these and it'll show the activities, and we have the animation. We also created the selector to select the icon. And down here we have the hotels and our bottom navigation bar. That's all for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and to share the video with your friends if you found it helpful. I also will include the source code to the whole entire app in the description if you guys want to check that out and start the repo on GitHub. And lastly, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you check out my Udemy course where I show you how to build a local storage app using Flutter and SQL Flight. And I'll see you in the next one.